What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the news from Taipei this afternoon. A coastal city in China is proposing measures to deepen ties with Taiwan, including a bridge linking one of Taiwan's outlying islands to the Chinese coast. But as Reese Ayers reports, Taipei says it has no plans to pursue such projects.
The Chinese city of Xiamen has published a long list of proposals to strengthen cross-strait ties. But Taiwan's government says these projects cannot be pursued by one side alone, and they're currently not on its agenda. The 12 measures include the development of infrastructure connecting Xiamen and Kinmen, a Taiwanese island just a few kilometers off the coast of China. Projects like gas pipes and power links, a new dedicated airport terminal, and construction of a bridge to physically connect China with Kinmen. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with Beijing, says it is aware of Xiamen's proposals and will study their implications, but says cross-strait infrastructure cannot be decided by China alone, and that Taiwan has no plans for such projects. The list of measures also calls for closer economic and cultural exchanges, including streamlined fishing and agricultural regulations and the promotion of youth exchanges and collaboration on creative and digital productions. The new 12 measures come after Beijing announced 10 Taiwan-focused policy incentives following Chinese President Xi Jinping's meeting with Zheng Liwen, chair of Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang, back in April.
两岸应该进一步的筹划与建构具制度性与可持续性的对话合作机制，使两岸的和平发展走向
At the time, the Mainland Affairs Council warned the measures appeared aimed at promoting unification and could harm Taiwan's industries in the long run by increasing their reliance on the Chinese market. An analyst said Xiamen's proposals this time are attempting to bypass conversations with Taiwan's central government.
国共确实在这个选前试图想用会谈措施来营造出一种两岸统战和谐的假象，来去企图对于 台湾民众对于中国的这个认知改变，进而造成选举的冲击跟影响。
For Xiamen and China, the measures are a step toward deeper cross-strait integration. But some in Taiwan remain cautious about Beijing's push for closer exchanges as cross-strait tensions remain high. Patrick Chen and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
The government has responded to a South Korean art show changing the name for Taiwan's pavilion.
我们外交部跟文化部都有持续关注跟在协助这件事情的交涉，那包括对光州市政府还有主办单位，那因为这个涉及到这个文化艺术的这个自由也是当时有协议所以对于擅改名称那我们会就是极力来交涉争取要能够 根据协议来举办这个活动。
Artists and curators protested after the Gwangju Biennale referred to Taiwan by the acronym for the National Taiwan Museum of Fine Arts, the organizers of the country's pavilion. Critics called this an act of censorship. The Biennale was founded to commemorate the city's 1980 uprising against military dictatorship and is one of Asia's most prestigious art events. It opens next month. Joint drills between the U.S. and South Korea will end 6 days early after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered reduced American involvement. It's an apparent olive branch to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and that's causing concern across the region. John Van Trieste reports.
In the South Korean town of Bocheon, residents need little reminder of the joint exercises with the U.S. that take place near here every year on the border with the North. Last year, South Korean fighter jets accidentally dropped bombs in the community, a friendly fire incident that destroyed this church and several houses. But news of U.S. President Donald Trump's order to scale back American involvement in the drills, as he seeks rapprochement with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, has split opinion.
It may be Trump's personal decision, but since it has been reported in the media, I support it.
I think that reflects a lack of understanding of North Korea. To be honest, I feel anxious. As a resident of a border area, I feel particularly uneasy.
South Korea's military has now confirmed this year's Ulchi Freedom Shield drills will end on Friday, 6 days earlier than planned. The U.S. president hasn't met with Kim during his second term, but he still says the two have a good relationship. He says he's upset with South Korea for not getting involved in the war in Iran and, according to some analysts, the slow progress of promised investment in the U.S. But Trump has also said cutting back on drills that North Korea objects to would actually make the South safer. He even says, though Pyongyang hasn't confirmed it, that another meeting with Kim is in the pipeline. South Korea's foreign ministry says the country is looking at a possible military contribution to the Middle East situation if its own defense needs and laws allow. And while acknowledging the importance of the U.S. alliance, South Korea's president has renewed calls for military independence to end the long-standing arrangement that gives the U.S. control over South Korean troops in the event of war.
이를 위해서
To this end, we must proceed without disruption, in line with the government's original plan to complete the transfer of wartime operational control within my term in office.
Other U.S. allies in the region are watching anxiously.
Australia is very concerned about North Korea's nuclear program as well as its missile program, and we have consistently made that point indeed.
As Japan faces the most severe and complicated security environment in the post-war era, the cooperation among Japan, the United States, and South Korea is critical to the peace and stability of the region.
China is also watching. Its foreign ministry says it has, quote, noted the relevant reports. That's just as Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi heads to South Korea Wednesday. Some North Korea watchers are unsure what Trump's order to pull back will achieve, but they say it does have significance.
It has to be very confusing. It has to be very frustrating for those involved in the exercises themselves, but I think really speaks to a lot of larger tensions that are going on in the U.S.-South Korea relationship at the moment.
A test for an alliance that for decades has considered itself ironclad. Hank Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Recent data shows an increased presence of Chinese research vessels in the Pacific. Taipei-based geospatial intelligence company Ingenispace released a video showing increased Chinese vessels in those waters this year. Separate reports say their activities, like seabed mapping, identifying undersea infrastructure, and gathering environmental data, could have military applications. And some vessels have entered Palau's waters, raising concerns there. A space rocket crashed after it spun off course during a launch in southern Taiwan. The Zhongshan Institute was testing a satellite launch vehicle, but had to activate the rocket's self-destruct system due to, quote, orbital anomalies. The organization says the rocket crashed within the safety area near Taiwan's launch facility in Pingdong. Videos shared by local residents show the rocket spiraling into a nearby mountainside. There are no reports of injuries or property damage. Artificial intelligence is changing how valuable students consider a computer science degree. At National Taiwan University, that field has fallen sharply in popularity this year, as students worry that AI will replace coding skills. Our reporter Lily Lamatina finds out from the students themselves.
For years, computer science was one of the most sought-after college degrees in Taiwan. Software engineers were in high demand, with high salaries and the promise of stable careers. But AI is changing that narrative. At National Taiwan University, computer science fell from 4th to 11th in popularity this year, a shift sparking debate among students online. Some worry AI could replace coding work, making a computer science degree less competitive in the job market. But some students on campus say they still see the value of the degree.
我选了一个相对自己有兴趣的科系，我觉得还是会念完。对，那就算他可能我觉得 AI 就算会影响到我的未来的走向，但是我觉得 AI 取代掉一部分的之后，可能还会有其他更新颖的工作会出现。
That optimism is shared by both undergraduate and graduate students alike. They argue that computer science can still provide a foundation for adapting as technology changes.
但是我们念资工系的同学，我会觉得说，因为我们有这样子的这个 background 的 knowledge， 那我们以后要去探索一些更深或就是更有潜力发展的应用的时候，它其实是会比非资工系的同学还来得更有优势。
Professors are also rejecting the idea that AI makes coding skills obsolete. They say students still need to understand the foundations behind the technology.
寻找资讯摄取这个 database 这些底层的东西语言，然后整体团体的架构这些都是重要的啦。
AI may reduce demand for some entry-level work, but students say the key is adding courses in addition to coding that broadens their skills.
那我觉得其实并不会说找不到工作，因为刚刚讲了，可能会被取代的是就是只会打程式的。对，但是我觉得我们这个东西，如果你有去修一些其他的课或者外系的课，那有补足其他领域的知识的话，我觉得反而我们其实是更有优势的。
Young professionals are also having to adapt.
那我觉得你现在进来的学生，他学的一定还是新的东西嘛，然后以后一定还是会不断的去演变这样子。对，但我觉得就是科技就是这样啊。那我觉得现在进来的学生还是可以学到他未来需要的东西，那可以再学到更新的东西，就是我觉得应该是可以的啦。
For students, the question is less whether AI will change their careers, rather whether they can keep changing with it. Klein Wang and Lily Lamattina for TaiwanPlus.
In Japan, cosmetic tattoos are gaining popularity, but they fall into a legal gray area. In Okinawa, a fight to get them regulated and legalized is on. Yvonne Young has this story.
Tattooists are demonstrating scalp micropigmentation, or SMP, at a convention center in Okinawa. It's in open defiance of Japanese law, risking legal consequences. Tattoo artist Remy Brahman, who founded the Japan Tattoo Hygiene Association, says his industry already takes safety seriously.
What we are doing now doesn't hurt. We don't need anesthesia. And we teach how to prevent the spread of diseases such as HIV and hepatitis.
But he says the law hasn't caught up.
Even for something as simple as cutting hair, there are rules in place. But when it comes to tattoos, there are no rules at all. That's strange, right?
Outlawed during the Meiji Restoration as Japan modernized, tattooing was only legalized under the post-war U.S. occupation, but then left largely unregulated. It was not until 2020 that Japan's Supreme Court took action. It ruled that decorative tattooing does not have to be performed by doctors, but the same did not apply to SMP and permanent makeup, leaving artists stranded in a legal gray area.
It's only Japan, right? All over the world, permanent makeup is applied by beauty professionals. I wonder why Japan is the exception. It makes customers feel as though they're doing something wrong.
Japan's tattoo stigma runs deep. Lingering ties to criminals and outcasts are hard to shake. People are still not allowed to show ink in many public places. Attitudes are changing, but slowly.
Nowadays, a lot of people have tattoos simply as something fashionable. But in the past, there were also tattoos of a different kind. And today's tattoos are still viewed in the same way. That's why that negative image is so difficult to get rid of.
A Japanese health official says that SMP has an established history of doctors' involvement. As recently as December, the health ministry warned that unlicensed practitioners could face criminal complaints and even arrest.
I think Japan is quite strict, really, especially for me, being from Okinawa. I've been exposed to it since I was little, so I think attitudes could be a little more open.
So the fight is on in Okinawa, once its own kingdom, and no stranger to pushing back against rules set by Tokyo. Alex Chen, Ted Chen, and Yvonne Yang for TaiwanPlus.
A Foggy Tale, a film set during the White Terror period, will represent Taiwan at next year's Oscars. The Culture Ministry has put forward director Sun Yushung's drama for consideration for Best International Feature Film. The ministry said it chose A Foggy Tale for its portrayal of everyday people during a period of intense political repression. The film won Best Narrative Feature and Best Original Screenplay at Taiwan's Golden Horse Awards last year. And thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, take a look at this light festival along Bulgaria's Black Sea coast. I'm Eric Al. Enjoy the rest of your day.